Hello and welcome to Crypto Rosetta, everybody. My name is Savage, and today we're going to be having a look at Zilliqa. This has been a community request, so we're going to be doing two videos. This will be a macro side, and then we'll be doing a separate video, which will be the shorter term TA. So within this video, we're going to look at a few options within what the structure might be in a bigger scale, and we will also be having a look at where we think this potentially can go. So before we do jump into that, I'd just like to say thank you for watching the video. If you're enjoying the content, please smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you aren't subscribed already. I know there's a lot of you out there. And why not leave us some feedback in the comment section down below. Okay, so let's get into it. So there's a few things I want to go over. We don't have a lot of historical data here. We can't see the previous uptrend here, so we can't really look for structure within that potentially we could use for confirmation of structure moving forward. So we have to assume a few things within some of these moves, and basically because of that, it does make it slightly less accurate. So the other thing you may notice is that I'm actually having a look at this on Gate.io. So the reason for this is normally I chart on Binance, but because Binance doesn't have as much historical data, basically I've tried to find as much historical data as possible when trying to work out this macro, and Gate.io seems to be the one that has the most information on it. So within this, there are a few options, and we can see that really this has just been trending sideways for the most part since this date here in January 2018. We've come down, we've come up, and then we're sort of coming down again. So we do have a few options that we can look at here. So we're going to go over the first one, which was basically that we are looking at the start of a new trend here. So what we would be looking at here is that effectively we've had this as an ABC down into this low here. And then we can be looking at this move to the upside in two ways. So we can either look at it as an extension within a wave 1, and this is a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 up into this high. And this would then in fact have a 5-wave move. We can also just look at it as a simple ABC, and this would slightly change how we look at the preceding waves that could happen off of this. So this is perfectly viable to have a wave 1 that's this long. As long as your wave 3 isn't your shortest wave, which it isn't, basically that is perfectly fine within Elliott wave theory. You can have an extension within wave 1. It's not very common, but it can happen. So this is what we'd be looking for here, is the fact that we've had this as a move to the upside into these highs here at this 25 cent range. And basically what we'd be looking for is the fact we're looking for retracement. So this green box here is a typical retracement area. And if I come in a little bit here, what we can do is we can jump right onto this low point here. Let's get onto it, down there, up into this high point. Actually, let me go up into here, and we'll just slide this across. So basically what we can see here is we've already come past this 0.5 retracement, and the next sort of area that we could look to is this 0.618, potentially. And this 0.618 also lines up quite nicely with this previous wave 2. So the reason that's important is sometimes when we get an extension within a 5-wave move and it's in the wave 1, what we can get is a retracement that comes back and back tests this wave 2 zone. So if we are looking for continuation to the upside, this might be an area that is interesting. We sort of come into the zone already, so we could argue that we could potentially have completed and we're looking to move away now. But I do think that we have a little bit more downside to come here. So within this move, we'd be looking at this potentially as a WXY. The thing with this, we wouldn't want to drop below this 10.278 area. Effectively dropping below that would make this W wave, this Y wave 1.618 of the W wave, which is not really allowed within the guidelines. So within this, what we would rather be looking for, if that does happen, is the potential that we're actually within a different structure, which we will talk about in a minute. So there's a few things that are interesting here. So this 0.618 also lies quite nicely in this zone, as well as the fact that if we were to look at this as a WXY, what we could be looking for is actually that we've had, let me get onto this high point here. This is an A, this is a B, and then looking for that C wave to the downside. So that C wave potentially could travel 1-to-1. So the 1-to-1 area would be this 0.6686 zone. Though it doesn't have to travel this low. So the minimum we would be looking for as a C wave is this 0.618, which also lies quite close to this zone here of this 0.618 of the move to the upside. So this could be a little area that could be interesting. The 702 falls just below it, so we could actually see a potential to drop into this zone if we're looking for that upside, and we might look to find support on this wave too. If this is the case, then what we'd be looking for is this is a potential completed move, and then we would be looking for that move to the upside. So this move to the upside could go a variety of ways, and basically we could look at this as, if we were looking at this as a 5-wave move here, then we'd be looking for an additional 5-wave move to the upside. So if we bring this up into this high point here, down into this low point, actually let's line it up with that 0.618. We could see here that actually a 1-to-1 would take us to this $1.48 area, though it would be prudent for us not to assume that it's going to just travel there, and because it is possible that this could actually just move up towards the 0.618 as a minimum, or just take this high and then look to break down again. Though it is possible we could look to move to the upside here to this $1.48 at a 1-to-1. Though some of these other regions here on the fib areas might be interesting areas that we could look to actually get rejection off if this is just going to become an A, B, C to the upside. There is always the potential that we could become impulsive, but that would only come by crossing this $27 range. So we'll have to just bear in mind that, you know, we have to be a bit cautious with how we look at these, because we don't have enough information here. This could actually just be within a corrective structure still, where this is an A, we form a B, and then we have a C, or you know, there's just not enough information yet to get a good read of exactly where we could be going. But that could be an area we look to target out. So this would be the potential bullish option. But effectively moving below this 0.02240 would invalidate this as a 5-wave move, and looking for extension to the upside as any kind of impulse. If we do happen to move down below this point, effectively that would invalidate this upside potential here. I also, basically, one thing I want to talk about is if we do lose this zone here of this 12944 to, let me move this up a little bit so I can see it better. Yeah, this range here, basically if we do lose that range, we have very limited support until we get back down into this zone here of this 8401. So, you know, it could be that we actually look to maybe come down a bit deeper here. Maybe we test the 782 zone, or potentially even as low as the 786, which would be right in line with all these. But I wouldn't really want to see it come much lower than that if we are still looking for this progression to the upside, as we've got shown here. So that's just one of the options, because like I said, we don't have enough information yet, so we need to keep our minds open to a few possibilities. So I'm going to just switch over here. So this is another option that we could have here. Because we don't have enough information here, we could also see the potential that we have a more complex shape developing here, because we have absolutely no idea what's happened on this side of the move. So we could argue as well that instead of looking at this as being in a simple move, we could actually be in a more complex move. And this could be something like a triangle. So this is still possible. So we need to just bear this in mind. If this is the case, I wouldn't be looking at this C wave as a traditional zigzag pattern. So like I said earlier, we could argue that we have this as a zigzag as well, where this is an ABC to the upside here. So that could actually just be an ABC down, ABC up, and then now we have the structure here. So the important thing to note here is that this is a C wave. So often within triangles, your C wave can become more complex. And if this is the case, basically what we could be looking at is much the same as we were looking at previously in the other option, is this is a WX and a Y wave to the downside. And this would be taking on basically a double zigzag situation. Whether we've got a zigzag here, this is our X wave as a flat, and then actually what we're doing is forming an additional zigzag to the downside. So as with the previous option, what we were talking about is the potential that we could actually have this. So if we just mark it out, let's get up there, A, B, and C to the downside. So the minimum area would want this C wave to travel is the 0.618, and this 0.618, like we just said previously, comes up quite nicely in the zone of this previous wave B in this instance. So this could be an interesting area that we could look to target out. We've got these two touch points here on this horizontal support, which could mean that we could get a third year and we could actually look to move away. So the difference within this is basically we could still, like I said with the other option, there is still potential to move down all the way up to this 0.63333. And basically that could be a one-to-one target. And if we do, then that would it wouldn't invalidate this as a potential triangle, because technically actually what we could do is just move this trend line down here. As long as we don't move below this low point, this triangle is valid. Alternatively, moving back above this point here of this 25 cent 6190 would invalidate this as a triangle. So this is something we'll have to keep an eye on going forward, regardless of what happens, unless we break down below this low point. So within this, effectively what we could look at, so we're talking about this 0.618. So sometimes what we can get within triangles, and I'm going to just pull this off of here, down onto this low point. So what we can get with triangles is sometimes the waves have a relationship, a fib relationship to them. And let's just grab hold of this, move them over here, and then we'll talk about this. So if we're looking at this as an A wave, this is a B wave, C wave. So sometimes what we can get is we can get a 0.618 relationship between the A wave and the C wave, or it can be between the B wave and the D wave. It tends to happen like that. So it'll be A, C, and E, or basically B and D. It's not very common that you get it on all of the waves, but it is possible within alternating waves that we can see this 0.618. So this 0.618 area, once again, brings us quite neatly into this B wave zone here at 13,588. So this is an interesting area. There's quite a bit of confluence around this zone, so it wouldn't surprise me if we do see a bit more of a move to the downside here. And if we do move down there, it'll be interesting to see how exactly we react. If we start to move away from this, what we'd be looking for effectively is the potential that we could have a bigger A, B, and a C pattern here playing out as a triangle. And if this does play out, we wouldn't expect to move up about past this 25,6190, and then we'd be looking for that additional ABC to the downside, should it be a triangular shape. So that would be an ABC to the downside for this E wave. Within this, if this does play out as a triangle, it now becomes very difficult to forecast moving forward, because we don't know where this triangle is, in what part of the structure this is forming. So it could be a fourth wave or it could be a B wave. We don't have any idea because we don't have the information from this side of the chart. So this E wave, should it play out, might truncate, and then we'd be looking to move to the upside. So this is something that we just need to bear in mind, that we could see something play out like this, where we do actually move back up, get rejected from the same zone as we did last time, move away, and this effectively forms a barrier triangle here, where we have an ascending slope on the bottom, and then basically almost a flat top. So this is something we need to be aware that we could actually be forming if we are not actually within a impulsive structure. We're in the middle of a corrective structure. The next option that we're going to be talking about, I'm just going to switch over here quickly, is this option, which is the more bearish option within these. And basically what we could be looking is that, in fact, instead of looking at this as a start of a move to the upside, we could actually still be within a corrective structure. And this would be an A, B, and a C to the downside. So within this move, there's a few things that we need to talk about. And effectively what we'd be looking at is, this is a high point here, and we could potentially at a 1-to-1 look to move down to this 0.002518 zone. So how probable is this? I don't know. It depends how these waves form as to how we are going to get on. I don't personally think we're going to get back down to this 1-to-1, but it is possible. So we need to bear that in mind. So some other areas that might be interesting within this move are these green lines that I have marked up here at the 4956, 6791, 10019, 14780. So these are basically just fib relationships of this first wave. So they're measurements of this first wave. So that would be 0.618 of the first wave, and so on and so forth. So within this move, we could look at this in a few ways. And what we would be looking at within this is the potential that we could have this as an A wave to the downside, this is a B wave to the upside, and effectively we could be starting to form this C wave. So if we're looking for a C wave, it is possible to look at this as a 5-wave move. And what we would be looking for here is the potential that this is a 1, 2, and then we could be within a 3, and then we'd be looking for that 4 and a 5. So if I just switch on the option now. So basically within this move, what we'd be looking for is, like I said, the fact that we could actually be looking for a 5-wave move here, where we have potentially this is a wave 1 into this low. This could all be a corrective move as a flat or a wave 2. And then we are looking to complete this 3rd wave here. So within this structure here, there is possibilities that we could actually be completed where we are, and we're looking for this 4th wave to the upside, and we'd be looking for a break to the upside, and this target area of this 4th wave here effectively would come up towards this 43277 to this 22595 area at a minimum. Typically, we would see this move up to this zone as a wave 4 and a wave 5. Obviously, within these, I'm not saying that this is just happening now. We're going to go over the shorter term TA in a different video, but this is a possibility. We could be within this 3rd wave here, completed, or it could have a little bit more downside to go before looking for this 4th wave. So even if we do get a bigger move to the upside, we need to be aware that this could always face further rejection and look to break down some more. It's just something we need to bear in mind. So we'll go over this in the shorter term analysis in the next video. But basically what we could be looking for is either the fact we are still within this 3rd wave, we're going to get a 4th wave to the upside, and then we're going to look to push down. If this 3rd wave is completed at this location here, what we'd be looking for is this area zone over here that we have shown on the screen, and then we'd be looking for this additional drop to the downside. So this area would actually drop us quite nicely into the 702 zone, and this would also line up basically with retesting this previous high point here. So this could be a little area that we could look to target out if we actually move down more and we look to break down into this zone. Like I said, between this high point here and all the way down to this lower point here where these tops are of the 786, this could be a little area that actually could look to get targeted out. This would meet the minimum requirement because you would have crossed that 0.618, and it could actually then be a completed ABC, and then we could look to push to the upside. However, we would also need to be aware that we don't have a lot of information here, so we could look at this as an ABC, or this could actually just be a 5-wave move in isolation, and effectively we could set another B wave and then look to drop further. Though I would be expecting, if we do this as an ABC and we complete that, we would look to take this high point here. Basically, we don't know exactly what happened on this side, but taking this high point here of this 25,731 would basically give us a bit more confidence that we are not going to be continuing to the downside. And taking this high point up here, this 25,6190, that would indicate that we can't see any further extension after this 5 wave, and it would have to have a completed move in here. So these are basically some of the things that we're looking out for here, and there is a lot of potential options here, so we need to track them and see how we react around these zones. But even if we did get a bigger move to the upside here, I'd be very cautious of this previous 4th wave high here, and even this one here as a potential rejection zone. If we do actually move up and we look to have a bigger move to the upside here, I would still be cautious of the fact of having this additional 5th wave to the downside. So there are other ways of counting this, and we will go over this in the separate video, which is to do with sort of the shorter term moves and the shorter term TA basically. And what we will be doing is also keeping an eye out for these moves, giving you what our thoughts are as to where these moves might play out to as we get more information, because unfortunately sometimes we just have to wait for the information to come, and we need to give the market time to react. So There's also the possibility, while we're here though, that we could actually just stay contained within a channel. Obviously this has only got 2 touch points on the top at the moment, and basically we would need to have another touch point for it to be confirmed. But if we did move up and touch this, it does become likely that we could actually look to potentially break down and look to retest this trend line. And then basically if that did happen, then this area here of the 786 would be quite interesting to me. Yeah, so that's the macro view, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed the content. If you did, please smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and why not leave us some feedback down below. Really appreciate all your guys' support. It means the world to us. You know, a small channel, and every like and every subscribe helps us out. Really appreciate it. Thanks for everything you guys do for us. And until we see each other in the next video, take care out there, everybody.